teaching and meditation, again, Shamatha, Vipashyana. When first to learn to meditate, most people find it difficult to rest the mind because thoughts, right? Because thoughts continuously arise, one after another, like waves on the ocean. So the mind is moving, constantly moving. Like, look at your mind. The first time, it's hard to focus on it. And then for a while, you look at your mind, it's constantly moving. Therefore, what should we do? Therefore, shamatha. Shamatha meditation is necessary because it helps let the mind be very peaceful. When your mind rests single-pointedly, undisturbed by thoughts, then what? It becomes very calm. Very calm. And as I said, there are two ways to meditate, to do shamatha practice. You can do it with an object of focus and without an object of focus. Shamatha practice without an object is more for advanced practitioners, I think. Not necessarily, but most time. And I think for beginners, shamatha practice with an object is better. That's my teachers told us. But no matter which sort of object you use, whenever your mind wanders, you bring it back to the object of concentration and maintain it there for as long as you can. That's in general. Now, I would like to tell you a few important things according to Kamaleshwara's teaching instructions in order to practice shamatha and vipaśyanā. This is not for today. I mean, for the future, when you want to practice shamatha and vipaśyanā, go on a retreat. Kamaleshwara said, first, the location is important. If you have the opportunity, you should be in a healthy place. That's, he said, healthy place, which is where you can, there are so many things, like you can easily find food in a peaceful place. The place where you stay should also be free from a lot of activity, means a larger number of people. It should especially not be near negative people, and instead be surrounded by good people who have the same views as you. It should also not be near a negative environment, free from any kind of like disease, etc. Milarepa said that when you stay in a cave without people, naturally a renunciation mind arises. You feel sort of sadness, but this sadness is not the same as ordinary person's sadness. Means like it is also mixed with your happiness. There is a grief, but at the same time there is a happiness. It's kind of strange feeling, right? That's kind of difficult to explain, but you have this experience that nature of everything is peaceful. There is no grasping or attachment, but at the same time, you have this genuine renunciation mind, so that makes you satisfied with everything. That's why those great teachers stay in solitary retreat for their whole lives. But if you go on a retreat for your whole life without teaching, I think that's not the best. Because when you have a capacity, you should teach others. Otherwise, people who wanted to practice will have no opportunity to receive the teachings from good teacher, and then we are going to lose the instructions and the lineage blessings. So practice, go on a retreat, practice very important. Once you have capacity, don't stay. My teachers say that, don't stay solitary, your whole life. And there is a story, like when Buddhist people, long time ago, they went like cave and practiced their whole life, and then nobody taught, ordinary people. And then there is almost like we lost Buddhism. Then other religions came, teachers came and taught, and of course, then grow. So, to teaching is very important. Make sure you remember this. I always say, once you have capacity, you should teach with pure motivation. That's actually, especially like this first century, 21st century, people need teaching, guides, So actually, it's better than practice. If you have not good motivation, terrible. Don't teach, means like thinking about famous and wealth, money, and all those kind of things. Then you sell the Buddha's tool, this great method. It's not good. But once you don't have those kind of things, become famous, it's very, impermanent. When we think about that. So it's not necessary, It's so just to teach. Try to help. You can teach one person, two people, whatever, three people, based on your pure motivation. It's great generosity. Why I'm saying this today is, so you have to teach. But, sometimes people go on a retreat, but don't practice very well, right? My teacher in Khenpo Sherab Sangpo, he is the middle one, the second one. He's like, they call second Milarepa. Second Milarepa. He said that one time he visited a hermit, and the meditator scraped a lot of wooden scoops and wooden bowls. You have time, so you instead of practicing, and some are busy with their hermitage, instead of practicing. He said that they fixed, windows and doors. Oh, this is perfect. I want a window here so that sunrise. So you make window there. Oh, there is a problem here, there. So you don't practice. So busy with your hermitage is not so good, you know. So at that time you have to, life is very fragile, you know, I don't have time to do this. So Kamalashila said that's why I'm saying this, limiting your desire is important. It means like not being excessively attached too many things if you want to practice. That's the first, Kamalashila is from the stages of meditation. Second, Kamalashila said that it's important to rely on a good teacher. What is a good teacher? A teacher, I said, a teacher must have a bodhicitta mind. Do you remember Bhakti which said that if the teacher is missing a bodhicitta mind, even great learning is of little use. I told you this many, many times. Now I'm sure you memorize this. You should memorize it. Because if someone teaches without bodhicitta mind, then the motivation will be selfish. And also a good teacher means that the teacher should have a great lineage. A good lineage they should have received the transmissions and especially has oral instructions from the masters. And the most important thing a teacher should do is pay attention to the teachings and know how to use them to benefit the student. If the teacher knows how to do that, then that teacher is the best. That is what is really meant by a good teacher, but it's so hard. This job is so hard. It's very difficult. Most people don't have this capacity, include myself. But I have a good thing is I have a good motivation for sure. But not other than that. But, so there are a lot of things that can go wrong with your meditation if you don't rely on that kind of teacher who is able to teach in accordance with one's specific abilities. And student should attend teachings and put the teachings into their practice. So it is very important that we should pay attention to the stages of meditation and fundamentals. For example, practicing renunciation, awakening the mind of bodhicitta, and recognizing the nature of mind. That's all. That's all Buddha, that's all. That's the stages. Remember, we taught those things last year here. So these stages of meditation are especially important for Buddhist practitioners. Renunciation mind, bodhicitta mind, recognition, nature mind. But there also are some other stages of meditation that is good for everybody who wants to meditate. So I will explain them. Not these three things, you already know that. But I will explain the other stages, the meditation. And Kamalashila also says it's important to have correct view. Basically, he is saying that you shouldn't accept teachings with a blind faith. For example, Shamatha and Vipashyana arise from the correct view, especially Vipaśyanā. You don't just receive these teachings, but rather you must examine them. And the best way to examine them is to put them into your practice so that you will know whether these teachings are suitable and will help your ordinary mind or not. When you practice shamatha and vipaśyanā, you are actually working with thoughts and emotions, which is you are dealing with dualistic mind, thought and perception. Of course, emotions have deep roots in our mind, right? They are what Buddhists call old habits. Sometimes they say bad karma. Means old habits. Means it's powerful and difficult to purify because they are so strong. Why do we have many different emotions? Endless emotions. From a Buddhist point of view, the root cause of emotion is our selfishness. Ordinary people are continuously under the control of selfishness. So there are so many negative emotions, but that's the thing, just to only based on just one thing, selfishness. As the dualistic mind becomes stronger, then our ego cleaning, becomes habitual. Because of that, we cannot relax our mind, and there is no peaceful mind. So practicing shamatha is very good for that. I mean, you cannot purify ego cleaning, the selfishness completely by practice shamatha, but temporarily help. Vipaśyanā can, right? Shamatha can't, but shamatha is very, very good. Practice shamatha is temporary thing, antidote very good for negative emotion. Now, Tibetan shamatha, shir-ni, shir-ni, shamatha is shir-ni, peace or calm. Shir means peace, very relaxed, peace and calm. And ni, there are two words. Ni means to dwell, or stability. Ni, the first calm, peace, and then you stay in that kind of stability. That's ni. So here ni means that the mind is not involved in difficulties, but peace. So we need stability so that we can practice very well. And then you like practice. So shamatha is actually the mind resting one-pointedly on an object. So your mind remains stably focused on the object. Not many thoughts arise, and then the mind becomes very stable and calm, And if the mind can focus one-pointedly without distractions, then you have shamatha meditation. Therefore, shamatha meditation is absolutely necessary, not only in the ultimate sense, but also in the short term by bringing great benefit when you practice it. Because our thought process are entirely beyond our control. And as we practice, gradually we start to recognize how many thoughts are arising in our mind all the time. Before, we were not aware of this, and slowly we get freedom from thoughts. That is the ultimate benefit of shamatha meditation. So the mind becomes relaxed and stable, peaceful. That's important in order to practice vipassana or other practice. So we practice shamatha many times, right? That's very important. I really don't know where you are, but I'm sure you have pretty good, like stable mind. I tell you that the first Anzam Drupal Rinpoche was very important Dzogchen master in Tibet, right? And he let his students practice shamatha for 3 years. Not like we do, like every day 2 hours or maybe 1 hour like that. Not like that day, all day, 3 years. But we don't have that much time. So now, how do we do it? Do we start with shamatha or with vipassana, or do we start with both at the same time? Usually, according to the teacher's instructions, we start with shamatha first because it is basis of meditation, and vipassana is based on shamatha meditation. So shamatha is like, it's like teachers say, it's like a wall, and vipassana is like a painting or picture on the wall. Therefore, first we need to establish shamatha meditation, and then we need vipassana meditation, and eventually practice both of them in union, which is not separate and together. So Shantadewa says, have vipassana meditation that is based on shamatha meditation, a very peaceful mind. So actually shamatha and vipassana are very, closely connected, right? If we know how to practice. With shamatha meditation, you maintain the mind and the natural state, and with vipassana, you see that all appearances are in insubstantial emptiness. The nature of the mind is already at peace, and at the same time, it also has the a capacity to know everything. So this is how the mind's nature actually is, always has been, and always will be for sure. But an ordinary being does not recognize the mind's nature and the quality. Many people think like when you meditate on Dzogchen or whatever nature mind, people think you are not functional anymore, Something happened to you. Not like that. It's not like that. That is like you don't recognize the mind's nature and its quality. Therefore, a lot of confusion is created. In short, we call ignorance. Ignorance is simply the lack of knowing the nature of mind. But first you need is find yourself more and more relaxed, more and more calm. That is the practice of shamatha. Okay? Then you will become more peaceful and your thought activity will decrease so that there is a growing sense of clarity and stability. These are very important. That's why it is important to have a good foundation in shamatha practice, okay? Most of the time when I teach, I teach the benefit. because then you have enthusiasm, like, I want to practice. So therefore, this is the benefit of practice shamatha, because when shamatha meditation, has been achieved, all analytical meditations as well as all virtuous activities have great power, because the mind is engaged in its own object of observation without being distracted by anything else. We practice, like preliminaries. You say mantras. Sometimes you visualize. Sometimes you don't. You're thinking something. So you don't have shamatha practice, right? You sometimes just focus on the number. So that means it's good, still very good. Don't misunderstand me. But if you have on top of that, you have shamatha, mind, your practice is really powerful. When you are focusing your mind and you are trying to practice shamatha, then what happens is, at the very beginning, teachers say it is like catching a wild monkey. The mind is so wild, My teacher, Anzum Rinpoche, always say this, Your mind is like monkey, and the mind means like wild, untamed, and kind of negative, So that is the first stage for the beginners. Mupam Rinpoche said it is called the experience of movement, okay, like a waterfall. At this stage, you have the impression that your mind is in constant motion. The mind is very, very unstable, with many thoughts arise. In your meditation, you feel like you are developing more thoughts and emotions. That is because teachers say that you are becoming aware of your thoughts and emotions. And fundamentally, the reason why negative emotions are painful and overwhelming and restless is because teachers said that your relationship to the emotion is not correct. Because of that, sometimes you don't like yourself, you don't like people in your life. Sometimes you have difficulty sort of finding your peaceful mind. So it can be a challenge, it can be painful, it can be restless. Because the way your relationship with your emotions, the thoughts are wrong. But every time you feel strong emotions such as fear, anger, and so on, you can do something to care for that negative emotion so it doesn't destroy your mind. So you should be able to transform it. With your practice, you can learn how to take care of your thoughts and emotions. When you meditate, I usually say that you should not expect immediate result. Like you should not expect a stable mind or peaceful mind after, your retreat, after a week or a month of practice. I think you should prepare your mind for the obstacles that will arise during meditation. And you should be prepared to have meditation where you have a lot of distractions that are destroying your meditation. So you should be prepared for it, to feel like your meditation is not going well, and you should, expect a lot of challenges. So you have to be willing to go through the whole process, okay? If you do that, I think it will get better. If you don't lose your confidence when your meditation is bad, then the next time it will get better. Sometimes our meditation is very bad, right? Very bad. But that's totally fine. And many people worried about it, like my meditation's not good, so they're angry at themselves and lose their confidence. I know that first time when I meditate, very bad, and I don't want to meditate. And then the teacher always say this, and that's okay, that's fine. That's fine, just don't lose, just keep going. I think that's really true, it's better. So you need to feel confident even when you have challenges. The more confidence you have in your practice, the more confident you can be handling any situation. So once you have learned to stabilize the mind, you will be able to practice clear, seeing meditation, which brings about a deeper level of direct seeing into mind's nature. But it doesn't work very well as long as the mind tends to be agitated. So whatever method you use, meditation is simply getting to understand your mind. Okay? That's very important. It's not about meditating on something. It's about your mind, getting to understand your mind. Do you understand your mind? Probably not. Sometimes you feel you do, but other times, no, you don't know who you are. So now again, meditation. Last time we didn't have lots of time, so this time meditate. Okay, meditate for 10 minutes for sure. Okay? Be happy with your meditation, okay? So I saw some people had a little bit problem with when you put your Buddha picture down there and then you look at the picture, is kind of challenge, right? So when I say just look at the image and nothing let come in your mind other than look at the image, right? It's hard, I tried to find like these stickers that hold the picture, but I couldn't find good ones. So I'm sorry, that's my bad, right? But there is a Buddha here, so maybe you can look up. Yeah. Or if it's difficult, it makes your body not relax, then you should focus something else. Okay, maybe like bring it in the image in your mind, just to focus on that and close your eyes like that. That's totally fine too. Okay? So whatever, and then if this too high, not too high, then you should look at the Buddha here. Maybe we should put this guy here. So whatever, you don't have to follow my instructions, okay? So I told you whatever is comfortable, because meditation, you have to relax, both your mind and body same time. So if something is not relaxed, your body, then your meditation will be difficult. So the thing is, when you meditate, if you notice any thoughts or emotion that prevent your mind, focus on the Buddha, relax in, then try to let it go, okay? Try to let it go in order to make your mind relaxed. So same thing again, okay? We're going to say the prayer, exactly same last time. So when we say this, not just the words, so you have to visualize, in front of you Buddha, real Buddha Shakyamuni, real living Buddha Shakyamuni in front of you. You visualize that. You don't have to, think a lot. Just visualize he is right there, okay? And then we say the prayers. So we're going to practice same thing, not change our meditation, so that you will know how to develop your shamatha. If you focus on one object all the time, you have you will experience something differently each time, different time. So then you will know more about your mind, how to work. So you will get good experience if you keep sort of one object for a while. It doesn't mean you can't change, but if you want, you can change. But sometimes you feel it would be better if you use one object for a while for your meditation, shamatha. You can do that. Sometimes if you feel better if you use different methods for your meditation, then you should change your meditation. So that's fine too. So the main thing is just focus on your mind, not your thoughts, not your emotions. So with that, we're going to say the prayer again. With your great compassion, embrace the sublimes in generate world, and made 500 mighty inspirations. You are exalted as the white lotus. Whoever hears your name shall never return to samsara. Most compassionate teacher, to you I pay homage. Om Mani Mani Mahamanaya Soha. Grant your blessings so that to realize primordial purity is the true nature. Grant your blessings so that I recognize whatever arises is on my mind. Grant your blessings so that I liberate delusion into its own natural state. Grant your blessings so that I increase my meditative ability continuously. Grant your blessings so that I actualize enlightenment and in this lifetime. So now you can begin the actual practice of shamatha, meditation, following Mapan Rinpoche's instructions. Don't let yourself stray from any thoughts other than the object. And you just look at it without any thoughts and any judgment. Oh, Buddha, this picture is yellow or not so clear, or there is a black spot or something, not like that, not thinking, just look at So that's shamatha. Usually you have to understand the vipassana has a great view. Shamatha doesn't have that. You just look at, that's it. And then if you have shamatha meditation, you really experience the ground consciousness. That's what we call gunji, right? Ground consciousness. That's actually, you're going to experience the ground consciousness. So there is not much view or nothing visualization, nothing clarity, nothing, just to look at. And then sometimes you can't because your thoughts come back. So then you have to look at it again. I will teach you more. There's methods how you do it, but this time you just look at it without any thoughts, without a judgment, and then eventually, for sure, you should focus one pointly without distraction as much as you can. That's your practice, shamatha. For 10 minutes, please.